live. Jesse, you guys live on YouTube?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Okay. Beautiful.
If they could just see the contraption.
Oh. They will. We'll get a photo of it right there. Okay, you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's do this. Okay, we'll have some fun this morning.
These guys have maybe the coolest theme music out there.
Woo-hoo.
It's
Yes,
the
we do.
St. George Real Estate Show with Jeremy Larkin. Jeremy joined today by Carl Wright. Guys, I love talking about real estate. I'm always kind of in the market for a different house, even though I've been in my current house 7 years. Maybe you can help me out a little bit.
Listen, I've got some stuff in the 2 to 3 million range I think you should look at.
Okay, can I borrow a couple of those?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Here's the deal. I would happily contribute to your down payment. I can't say what. But hey, by the
a
way,
couple of cows or
welcome. Welcome to the show, Andy.
Thank you, Joe. It's great to be here. I've been looking forward to this day for
pretty cool.
about a week, and I've been here, 3 times now sitting and listening to you guys, but Mike would never let me talk.
No,
so
he wouldn't.
Now
He
I get
wouldn't.
to talk.
Last week was the famed final, the farewell show. Mike's no longer with us. Is that how you
That's
say
sad.
it?
Well, I will say this. I did a basketball game with him last night, so I know he's still with us. He's just not with us.
He's with us. Which game did you guys call?
5U Dixie. 3-pointer at the buzzer in overtime. It was a great game.
Wait a minute, who won?
5U won it.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
See, I was not, literally, I was so focused in other things, I didn't even know they were playing last night, which is sad because I'm a Dixie High graduate. And that was the rivalry. But the rivalries, now there's a variety of rivalries. It used to be it used to be Cedar Dixie, which was when I was young. And then it became Pineview Dixie. And now there's kind of a variety of rivalries. Isn't there, Carl? What do you think? What do you think the real rivalry is now?
Gosh, I think there's a rivalry between everybody now.
Well, your
Pineview,
kids
Dixie,
will go where? Crimson or
We'll
Desert
go to
Hills?
the new Crimson High
Go to
School.
Crimson.
Yeah.
Brand new school in
Yeah,
the fall.
brand new school.
So, yeah, I mean, it's changed. You know, I mean, the dynamic has changed. 3-pointer at the buzzer, good grief. That's like, you know, I think I just had a traumatic episode thinking about Jordan and him, the fall away 3-pointer on the Jazz in the 1996.
Oh,
Had to bring that
flashback.
up.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
I mean, we're never going to live that down. Because genuinely speaking, the Jazz are never, ever going to probably have that chance again. I'm sorry, guys. It is what it is. It's hard to attract. Hey, welcome to the St. George Real Estate Sports Show. It's hard to attract. I've said this forever. Now I'm going to beat up on my own state. I was born and raised in St. George, Utah. My father was born and raised in St. George, Utah. So we love this state. We love this city. But it is very hard to attract talent to Utah, right?
Agreed.
Because the big stars aren't super interested in, and can we just call it what it is? Our liquor laws, our lack of nightlife, very much like state religious kind of predominance. Like, they're just not interested, and that's the same for BYU, University of Utah. University of Utah's done pretty well, but at the end of the day, I love my state, but it's just hard, right, to attract talent.
True, but I have to say that Donovan Mitchell has totally
Yes.
revitalized the sports enthusiasm.
Yes.
Should I say
Yes.
that? For the Utah Jazz. I love Donovan Mitchell. I love what he's all about. His on and off the court. He's a great face for the Utah Jazz.
Yeah, and they've come along.
To illustrate your point a little bit, Rudy Gobert should be an all-star right now. He didn't get it, and I think more than anything, it's because he plays in Utah and not in New York City or LA
Bingo.
or somewhere else. And that's another reason why, the great talent isn't going to want to sign in
Nah, it's frustrating.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's okay. Here we are. We're here. We're live. The St. George Real Estate Morning Drive. I'm Jeremy Larkin, the host of the program. I've got. By the way, if you look on Facebook, it says the insanely handsome Carl
boy.
Wright. By the way, the insanely handsome Carl Wright joins us to share some trends that are not being told or shared. I should have said shared by other real estate professionals in town. And the reason I say this, it's not that it's going to be that controversial, but it's what we've been talking about. And there's this kind of, remember when you were a kid and you plugged your ears and said, I'm not listening,
Right.
to your brother, sister, sibling, cousin. There's a lot of that going on right now in Washington County, right? A lot of I'm not listening. And gang, we're inviting you this morning to actually save yourself a whole bunch of pain in 2019 by listening to what we have to say in this program. And the question that might come up, were they gonna tell us that the market's crashing? No, but, right, Carl, but there's information that people need to know if they want to make a good decision this year. So
Totally.
we're happy to be here. I'm happy to have Carl here, happy to have Andy Griffin here, who is not the new Michael Gary, he's Andy Griffin, and he's gonna be fantastic. You moved here from where?
Well, I've been in southern Utah for 25 years. I grew up in Texas. In high school, my parents, much to my chagrin, moved to Salt Lake County, and I told them flat out, I'm not going, I'm staying here, I'm gonna stay with my friends, but when you're 14, 15 years old, you really don't get
Yeah.
that choice, and so they actually sent me off to a camp and moved while I was gone.
Nice.
I no longer had a home.
Yeah, you were strong when you said you weren't going, even though you were going.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I get it.
exactly. So, and then, you know, I've been kicking around Utah. I spent 1 year in Idaho, way northern Idaho, Moscow, Idaho, on the Palouse
Whoa.
up there. The thing I didn't like about Idaho is the thing I love about here is the clouds rolled in October, didn't leave until March. It was gloomy. Look at I mean, it's cold out there, guys, but
But the
it
sun's
is
out.
a glorious, sunshiny day. I love it.
It is. I'm a big mountain biker, and I would happily go out this afternoon, get a beautiful ride in, put an extra layer on. It's going to be high 40s. That's a cold day, but not a big deal, right? By the way, Brian Head Ski Resort. I have just so everyone knows how I operate. The Brian Head webcam is typically pulled up on. There you go, Carl. On my computer. It's just always up. It's just always up. Brian had checked this out, so I was up there over the weekend. They had 10 inches Saturday night, and I thought, well, that was nice. They have had 35 inches since then. So 45 inches, almost 4 feet. Eagle Point Ski Resort is at 31 inches storm total. And so if you're wanting to get up there and get some skiing in, or snowboarding, I've got to say,
That's the wonderful thing about St. George is that you can
Right,
enjoy
that's why-
you can enjoy the
Yeah.
sunshine and the not having to shovel your walks, but 45 minutes you can be on the slopes.
yeah, gang, I have absolutely biked and skied in the same day in St.
Nice.
George, many times. So you can do that, and that's kind of why I segued that. I thought, how fun is this that, Brian Head, by the way, an hour and 20 up. Typically I'm an hour and 20 up, an hour and 15 down. It's just always a little quicker coming down. And that's pretty static. I mean, I'm an 85 guy on the freeway, cruise control, and it's an hour and 20 minutes to that resort. And I'm talking on a stormy day, it's an hour and 20. It's just kind of an hour 20 to go up there. So check that out if you are looking for some fun this weekend. But welcome, Andy. Where do you live now, by the way?
I live in Washington City.
In Washington City.
Yep, a new subdivision, Hollow Creek subdivision,
Uh-huh.
and have a beautiful home and really enjoy it. My only complaint is our backyard backs up to 300 East there in Washington, so we're looking to get something that's a little more secluded, a little off the busy road.
You know exactly what he's talking about.
I do.
Yeah. Well, I know people who can help you. But
I know you
do that when you're ready to do that.
Yep.
Carl Wright, welcome aboard.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm happy to have you. We're gonna have, so this is fun. We're gonna have Carl today, and then we're gonna have Carl and his entire team at my office at noon. His team, our team. Carl is with R1 Appraisals here in town. By the way, I need to have you guys go measure a home in New Harmony. That's after the show,
Great.
but just
Love
so
to.
you know.
Love to do it.
We are listing an incredible, oh my goodness, incredible home in New Harmony. We'll be placing this home on the market hopefully in the next week. And amazing views for almost 5,000 square feet, pretty cool home. So it has an entire detached guest house.
Wow.
And when I went in, it is like country home, like going into my home that I grew up in with my mother. And it's interesting, Carl, this is probably a great way to start this off, is they had the home on the market for 6 months with another agent, and they're very frustrated, right? With an agent from Cedar City. So if you're in New Harmony, I want you to think through this. They listed the home with the guy from Cedar City because it was geographically closer by the mileage. But the issue is New Harmony is not in Iron County, it is in
Washington.
Bingo. So what they did is they hired somebody on the Iron County MLS to sell a home that was in that actually is in Washington County. Now I'm sure the home is on both multiple listing service. And when we list your property and sell our property, we always are on Washington, Iron, and Wasatch MLS. So we kind of go for the trifecta. But they were frustrated, and then as we dug into this, it looked like everything was fine, and at a glance, so we do what's called a home marketing audit. And by the way, if you are selling a home right now, very quick plug, but it's not selling. That's the key, is if your home is on the market and it's not selling, you're frustrated. I invite you to visit, this is kind of fun, we have a page that we have never talked about. It's called whymyhomewon'tsell.com, literally, whymyhomewon'tsell.com. Go in there and plug in your critical information. This is not a solicitation of your listing. This is what is called a home marketing audit. Maybe you're someone whose home just came off of the market and it didn't sell, right? Let us know, and what we do is we just do an audit. So, and the audit is, we look at 3 factors, which are marketing, condition, and pricing. And then Carl, you know, because you're a professional appraiser, that underneath those 3, that canopy of 3, are probably another 15 items, right? So marketing, either the story that was told about your home was not compelling enough, or it was not told to enough people. The condition, either the condition, the staging, or the location, or all 3 were such that it was not compelling to a buyer. And maybe all 3 factors are present, or the price of your home was such that either just buyers said, sorry, there's just something better for us at that price, or maybe it was bracketed in a way that they didn't get, they didn't see it. So, but we did this audit, and what do you think we found when we started looking through the square footage? The main floor was wrong, the basement was wrong, the upstairs was wrong. It wasn't reflective of a guest house. There's an entire detached guest house that's completely legal on the property. That's about $150 grand to build. That was not advertised.
Not represented, yeah.
So it looked like everything was fine at a glance. I said, man, I don't know why this home isn't sold. But then when we dug into it, so how often do you see data, Carl, as a professional appraiser, that's just not accurate?
Oftentimes, our job as an appraiser is to sift through all of the information that's out there and try to come up with a realistic value. We're looking at everything from marketing time, we're looking at the square footage. That's why we don't ever rely on what the county says or whatever, or the, as far as square footage, bedroom, bathroom count. That's why we go in and we assess the property, we measure the property so we know what your square footage is. We'll come up with your bedroom, bathroom count, we look at your condition, the quality. We look at from your roof to your foundation and everything in between to determine how the market reacts to what components you have in your home, and then we come up with a value.
Okay, so this is kind of a fun question. Real estate agents, typically when they go to put a home on the market, they pull the square footage from where?
They usually use the county.
Correct. They just go to the tax records, and they go, well, hey, it says it's 4,100 feet. How many appraisals have you done in your life, because you go out and you laser measure, you digitally measure, where the square footage that you actually measured in real life matched the county?
Hardly ever. I mean, it's usually
Like 5%?
Maybe, I'd say less than 5%.
Okay.
They're usually a little bit smaller,
Crazy,
usually
right?
a little bit bigger than what the county says, which is a, we use the outside measurements. We use ANSI standard of measurement, which means we measure from the outside corner to the outside corner, and so we're usually a little bit bigger than what the county says, which is beneficial to people who are selling their home, because then you get the actual square footage of what an appraiser is going to be using as their measurement, and then you can market your home at a slightly larger.
Right.
It behooves you in a little bit to get an appraisal or have somebody come measure your home to determine what your actual square footage is.
Well, and Robert McFarland commented, good morning, Robert, it was missing almost 900 square feet.
Wow.
And it was 6 months on the market.
That's,
Oops.
let's just say $100 a foot, right? That's $90,000 that they misrepresented in that.
Well, yeah, so this is kind of crazy. We're doing something we haven't done in a while. We're taking this property on that was listed by another agent, and they came to us after it was no longer on the market. We're raising the price.
Wow.
And we don't do this very often, but we're actually we believe that we can sell this home for more money than they were asking previously.
Wow. And that goes against the trend that I'm seeing right now, Jeremy. As I've looked at the market and looked at trends, we look at, as appraisers, we look heavily at absorption rates and months of housing supply and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Something very interesting that I'm seeing right now is 2018, it was a perfect storm. Interest rates were good. It was like the jet was taking off the runway, and we built speed all the way up until September about. And I was talking to my business partner, Nick Lyman,
Exactly
about
what
this,
I noticed.
and this is exactly how Nick put it, is that the jet took off in September of and started to level off in September of 2018, and now we're gliding.
Yep.
We're in a gliding mode right now, and we're in a transition from being a seller's market
Bless you.
to a buyer's market. And we're seeing more months more time on market. We're going from about a 2-month inventory of homes to a 3.5-month inventory of homes in the greater St. Louis
So let me throw a
area.
perspective in here. And when Carl talks about months of supply, right, or absorption rates, and what he's saying is, well, 2 months supply is really simple. It's how long, there was enough housing that if no one else listed a property, now this is really important, if no one else put their home on the market, it would have taken 2 months to sell the home, correct? That's
Correct.
the simplest way to look at it?
Correct.
Well, now he's saying, well, now we're at 3.5. This is what throws people off. 3.5 months supply is still a really strong market. It's a really strong market. But the issue is, we're talking about the inventory going from 2 to 3.5, right? 3.5 doesn't sound like a lot, but an increase from 2 months to 3.5 months is a gigantic increase.
It's a big increase.
Make sense, you guys?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's not like 3.5 is a big supply. It's that going from 2 to 3.5 is a massive jump.
Yeah. And I
Okay.
found some more statistics. I was looking at the Washington Fields area. This is right where you live, Craig. In the Washington Fields area, I was looking at homes between.
Or Andy.
Or Andy. Sorry, I said
Craig just walked out. Craig walked
that's
out.
Right. I'm sorry, Andy. I
It's
apologize.
okay, no worries.
Craig's on his way back to Perro to play in the snow.
Washington Fields, 2,000 to 2,500 square feet. The months of housing supply 12 months ago was 3.26. Right now, currently, there's 6.25 months of supply in Washington Fields between 2,000 and 2,500
But I
square
thought
feet.
Washington Fields was one of the best markets in town.
It is one of the best markets in town, but
Right.
that means everybody's trying to sell their home. And so if you're gonna be competitive, if you've got your home listed right now, you really need to analyze, do I really wanna sell my home? If I really wanna sell my home, then I probably should reduce the price by, I'd say 5%.
Bingo, brother. What did I say to you on the phone when we chatted?
Yep.
5%. Let me share something with folks here, Carl. I've got the multiple listing service pulled up. Since January 1st, have you looked at how many properties I've listed, by the way? Washington County. And of course, I should say Washington County. This includes Iron County, because it's on our multiple listing service. So bear with me for a second. I'm gonna come in here to location, and I'm gonna say Washington County. Since the first of the year. Now remember, folks, when you go to sell your property, you're saying, I have the best home. Hey, I looked around, I looked at Andy, I was over there off of 300 East in Washington, I looked around, I feel like I've got the best house on a quarter mile. That's nice. Here's the issue. 724 properties hit the market in Washington County since January 1st. Wow. 700 competitors, right?
Yeah.
Sound about accurate?
Yeah.
That's what MLS is telling me.
Yep.
And by the way, I'm talking about homes. I'm not even talking about lots. If I talked about lots and water shares, there's another how many, do you think? Couple hundred?
Couple hundred.
724 properties hit the market in Washington County since January 1st, right? That's 700 new competitors that came to the market. Okay, we better shut that door. These guys get a little loud in the morning.
Yeah.
So, Andy, how long have you lived in that house?
7 years.
So you've been there 7 years. The reason I asked is that's why I thought you said a lot of our listeners have been in their property 5 to 7 years, 7 to 10 years, because a lot of people moved into the market, right, Carl, like 05, 06, 07, 08, some of 10. But here's what's interesting. Values have come up since 7 years ago in Washington County. Carl, what percentage do you think?
I think we're right around 40%, 36%.
Since then, close to 40%. So while Carl's telling us a story that's accurate, and he's telling the truth, inventory is almost doubling. It doubled in Washington Fields, right? We went from 3 to 6 months. At the same time, if I had told you 7 years ago that your home value would go up 40%, the home values would go up 40%, how many homes would you have bought?
Everything
Every
could
one,
have doubled
right.
up, right?
You would have bought all of the $5 bills for $3 that you could have purchased.
Yep.
Okay, right? That's
Makes
which is the math. $3, but we're saying, hey, I've got a sale on $5 bills. They're on sale for $3. How many do you want? I want them all.
Yep.
But we didn't know that, did we?
Right.
So talk to me about a trend here, because 7 years. I love that you're in studio at 7 years. what seems to kind of happen every 6 to 8 years, Carl?
Usually, it trends up for 7 years and then it trends down. And you look at let's just.
It's biblical, by the way, 7 years of famine, 7 years of plenty.
Really? Right. If you look at the trends, we crashed in the third quarter of 2007. That's when the trend started to go downward here in Washington County.
Uh-huh.
And it went down until 2011. In 2012, we started the trend upward. And how it went, what's the math? 7 years. From 2012 is when we started to trend upward. Now, I'm not saying that there's gonna be a big crash. I don't think there's gonna be a crash. But we're gonna be gliding through 2019.
How many appraisals have you done? You and your company?
Our company, since we opened up in 2008, we've almost 21,000 here in Washington County.
We have 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes. I want that to settle in for people. Got Carl on the show today, 21,000 appraisals. You might want to listen, right? You might want to listen, and here's what's so fun for me. Everything you're saying is echoing what I've been saying, which clearly makes me feel pretty happy this morning. So 5% across the board, we feel like values are probably 5% overcooked. We've seen inventory in Washington Fields double. Where else? Where else is it? Where else is inventory going up? Everywhere.
Everywhere. Everywhere, but not to be alarmed. I don't want this to be people to panic and think
Right.
that I need to make a huge price, 5% price reduction is not a very big price reduction.
If I'm a
We're
seller,
talking-
what do I do today? Because I want to sell and take advantage of a great market.
You wanna reduce it 5%. I mean, it's like chasing that ball down.
We talked
you know,
about it,
we
right?
talked about this. You just wanna get ahead of the ball. It's going to calm down. Usually, our market is spurred by the Pride of Home, which is coming up next weekend. A lot of buyers come in, so we're gonna see some more buying right in the next near future.
60 days.
60 days, and so I suspect that jet is going to just coast through 2019. I don't see a big fall, I don't see a big rise, I see it stable for the next year.
What if somebody says, I don't really trust my agent, I want to call you and get a third-party appraisal? What's it going to cost them, and how do they call you?
You know, we've got a variety of products that we offer people, from $200 to $400 for a full appraisal for a typical home. If your home is a little bit bigger, we charge a little bit more, but that'll give you a full valuation of letting us come in and, like you said, give you a diagnostic of why your house isn't selling.
Yeah, so, and by the way, guys, we talked about this fun website. I almost forgot for a while that we'd even created it. We created it years ago. When the market was crashing, we created this page called whymyhomewon'tsell.com. And when you go there, it's just a home marketing audit. And all you do is plug in your information. And then what we do is not a solicitation of a listing. I want to be very clear about that. We simply look at 3 categories: price, condition, and marketing. Then we diagnose it, right? And we do an audit. I mean, I know no one likes an audit, but guess what? Would you, again, Carl, if I told you 7 years ago your value would come up, and Andy and everyone is around 40%, you would have said, are you serious? But people want their value to have come up 45%, and now they're frustrated. Are people gonna miss out on this market because they're clinging on the last summer?
Yes, they will.
It's gonna happen.
You've gotta look forward.
How do they call you, Carl?
Our phone number is 435-627-0019. You can talk to any one of our appraisers, me, Nick Lyman, Devin Wilkins, Jerry Johnson, Kenny Rawlings. We've got a whole crew over there that can help you.
R1, and literally R, the letter, 1, the number. You can Google it. Thank you, Carl.
Thank you for having me, Jeremy. Appreciate it. It's always a pleasure.
Jeremy Larkin with St. George Real Estate here on News Radio 94.9, 890 KDXU. Thanks, Jeremy.
Thank you.